In the volatile landscape of the Middle East, a new crisis is brewing in Iran, and half a world away, one global power is watching with extreme attentiveness. That power is China. While headlines in the West focus on regional security and nuclear ambitions, Beijing's concerns are rooted in something far more fundamental to its national survival: energy, economics, and its long-term strategic ambitions. To understand why China is so invested in the stability of Iran, we need to look beyond the immediate conflict and into the intricate web of dependencies and grand strategies that define modern geopolitics. This isn't just about a distant conflict. It is about the very fuel that powers the world's second-largest economy and the future of global trade itself. Let's start with the most critical piece of the puzzle: energy. China is the world's largest importer of crude oil, and its economy is profoundly dependent on a steady, uninterrupted flow of it. Imagine an engine that needs a constant supply of fuel to run. For China's vast industrial machine, that fuel is oil, and a significant portion of it comes from the Middle East. Over the past decade, as China's economy has grown, so has its thirst for energy. It now imports over 70% of its crude oil needs. This heavy reliance on foreign oil makes China incredibly vulnerable to any disruption in the global energy market. A crisis in Iran, a major oil producer itself, and a country that sits astride the world's most important energy choke point, represents a direct threat to China's energy security. This brings us to the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway, separating Iran from the Arabian Peninsula, is arguably the most critical strategic choke point on the planet. Roughly, 1/5 of the world's total oil consumption passes through this strait every single day. For China, the numbers are even more stark. A substantial portion of its oil imports from countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, the UAE, and Kuwait must navigate this very passage. Any conflict that threatens to close or disrupt traffic in the Strait of Hormuz would send shockwaves through the global economy. Oil prices would skyrocket, and the physical supply of oil to Asia would be choked off. For Beijing, this is a nightmare scenario. It would not only trigger an immediate economic crisis, but also expose the fundamental vulnerability of its long-distance supply lines. China has no easy alternative routes for this volume of oil, making the security of the Strait of Hormuz a non-negotiable interest. Beyond the general flow of oil, China's direct economic relationship with Iran adds another layer of complexity. For years, while Western sanctions isolated Tehran, China stepped in to become Iran's largest trading partner and a crucial economic lifeline. Chinese companies have invested in Iranian infrastructure, from railways to telecommunications, and more importantly, they continue to purchase Iranian oil. This relationship is mutually beneficial. For Iran, China provides a market for its most valuable export and a source of investment that the West denies. For China, Iran offers a reliable, non-Western aligned source of energy. This partnership, often dubbed a comprehensive strategic partnership, is more than just transactional. It's a geopolitical alignment built on a shared skepticism of American dominance in the global order. Therefore, a crisis that destabilizes the Iranian regime or leads to a conflict could wipe out years of Chinese investment and sever a key economic and strategic partnership in the Middle East. The potential impact extends far beyond just oil and bilateral trade. A major conflict in the Middle East would have a cascading effect on global supply chains, which are already fragile. China is the world's factory, and its manufacturing sector is deeply integrated with the global economy. A sudden spike in energy costs would raise the price of everything, from production to shipping. Chinese factories would face higher operating costs, making their exports more expensive and less competitive. This would ripple outwards, affecting consumers and businesses worldwide who rely on Chinese goods. Furthermore, the geopolitical uncertainty would spook investors and disrupt international shipping routes, not just for oil, but for all containerized goods. In an interconnected world, a fire in the Middle East doesn't stay contained. Its smoke quickly spreads to engulf the entire global economic system, and China, being at the center of global manufacturing, would feel the heat intensely. This is where we see the crisis intersecting with China's grandest foreign policy vision, the Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI. The BRI is a colossal global infrastructure development strategy aimed at creating a modern-day Silk Road, connecting China with Europe, Africa, and the rest of Asia through a network of ports, railways, and pipelines. The Middle East is a critical nexus in this plan, the geographic bridge linking East and West. Iran, in particular, is positioned as a key hub within the Belt portion of the initiative. China has envisioned trade corridors running through Iran to connect it to Europe, bypassing traditional sea lanes that are dominated by the U.S. Navy. A stable and cooperative Iran is essential for this vision to become a reality. A war or prolonged instability in Iran would not only derail specific BRI projects within the country, but could destabilize the entire region, turning a crucial land bridge into a zone of conflict and uncertainty. This would undermine the very foundation of the Belt and Road Initiative's westward expansion and jeopardize decades of strategic planning and trillions of dollars in potential investment. So, when Beijing looks at Iran, it doesn't just see a single country in crisis. It sees a complex matrix of interwoven interests. It sees its primary energy artery, the Strait of Hormuz, under threat. It sees a key economic partner and a vital source of oil at risk of collapse. It sees a potential disruption that could cripple global supply chains and damage its own export-driven economy. And perhaps most importantly, it sees a critical linchpin in its ambitious Belt and Road Initiative, the cornerstone of its 21st century geopolitical strategy, in jeopardy. China's stated foreign policy is one of non-interference, but its core national interests tell a different story. China cannot afford to be a passive observer. The stability of Iran is directly linked to the stability of China's economic growth and its future as a global power. In conclusion, China's careful watch over the Iran crisis is a matter of strategic necessity. While the United States may view the situation through the lens of nuclear non-proliferation and regional alliances, China's perspective is dominated by the cold, hard logic of geoeconomics. Its energy security, its economic stability, and the success of its flagship foreign policy initiative all hang in the balance. As the situation evolves, expect China to engage in a delicate diplomatic dance, advocating for stability not just out of principle, but out of a profound sense of self-interest, because for China, the fires in the Middle East threaten to burn the blueprints of its own future. What happens in Tehran and the waters of the Persian Gulf will have consequences that are felt deeply in Beijing. Thank you for watching. If you found this analysis insightful, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more deep dives into the critical geopolitical issues shaping our world. We appreciate your support.